Hey, it's Marthea Pitts, the MSW coach, and I am back for another episode of my podcast, Macro Social Work Your Way. And I always say I'm excited, but I'm really excited because this episode is a spotlight on one of my career coaching clients who had a major career win. But the reason I'm so excited about this person's career win is because they landed, and let me not tell all of the things. I'll wait. But they achieved something major, right? And so we're going to talk about that. But I really want you all to listen from a standpoint to know that this is possible, right? Macro jobs are real. You can get them. You can do work to move the needle closer to progress for your population and issue. So I asked my career coaching client, the alum, to come on to the episode. And so we're going to talk about the journey, what it looked like before, during, and after, and their win. So, hey, Keyshawn, how are you?
Hi, Joe Felipe and Marthea. I'm quite well, and I hope you are well also. Hello out there to the podcast listeners.
Yeah, so Keyshawn he's very humble, y'all. But the career wins that he has are out of this world. So Keyshawn, can you do me a favor and introduce yourself? Like what do you like to do outside of social work? Because you have a long resume and you have a lots of passions that are really phenomenal. Can you talk about who you are as a human and what have you done in the past as a social worker? We'll start with the past work first.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, right, you asked me what do I like doing outside of social work, just when I'm living in my life, right? A big musician, right? I grew up in the marching band. I ended up getting a band scholarship during my undergraduate years. And right, so music is a really big part of my life. So listening to music, I'm working on slowly but surely getting back into playing music. So that's really exciting as well. Really outside of that, in addition to that, rather, I'm really big into books. So I've been a part of a few book clubs. I've even written a few of my own books. My latest work, ICU HBCU, is geared towards children and right highlights just the best things about attending an HBCU, historically Black college and university. And really big into sports right now. So if you know, the NBA playoffs are going on, so really big into watching those and then the sports commentary as well.
I love it. So I know that you came from a direct practice background, but was that clinical or non-clinical? And what?
Yeah, so
Mhm.
So right, so the MSW program, Master Social Work program I graduated from was clinically focused.
Okay. Can you give us I like paint the picture of what type of direct practice clinical jobs you worked in before um having your recent career win?
For sure. So, right, during as I matriculated through the program, I interned at an outpatient mental health facility. So that was working with mild to moderate clients. Now, the unique thing about my MSW experience, Marthea, is that it was completely virtual. So I didn't get a chance to go into the office. I didn't get a chance to really tour the institution, honestly, at all, because everything was shut down, right? So we really had to be creative in the ways that we interacted with clients, in the ways that we built community with each other as interns, and then of course attending classes, being open and right, reimagining what it means to attend class virtually. And of course, we know now that's really helping today as we have things like telehealth and a lot of really we have this online remote work culture now, right? That's become so popular with so many. So outside of well, after the counseling experience, I don't know. Maybe it was partially because of the virtual nature of it, but I didn't really feel as though it was an area that I wanted to continue to pursue, right, post graduation. So I didn't, right. I was offered a job by my internship placement site, but I didn't take the job because I wanted to explore other options. That led me to working in the EAP, Employee Assistance Program field, which for those of you who don't know, essentially it's a program that's more than likely offered by your employer, and we assist with things like case management. So we may connect you with behavioral health support, right? We may connect you with things ultimately to help you maintain your work-life balance. So if you're in need of like elder care for a family member or child care for yourself, in the case of the company I worked for, let's say you were moving, right? You were looking for a house. We would assist with sending you reports for housing in the area that you were in or in the areas that you wanted to live in. It was really an extensive uh, offering list in this company that I worked for, and it was really cool, right? Now this job was also telephonic as well, so I didn't get to see any clients, really just spoke with them over the phone. So offering them those resources, but I also got to use some of my clinical skills in times that we had to give in the moment support as well. So it was a great job for what it was, but I always knew there was something more. What else could I be doing?
I love that about knowing that there was something more out there for you to do. Now, Keyshawn, he talked about, band music. He has a book, but he kind of glossed over the fact that he's an accomplished writer, author. He has, don't you have several books or
Yeah.
working on several? Yes. So Keyshawn is not like a run-of-the-mill person that's just, oh, he wrote one book. No, he's accomplished, and his books are used around the world by a lot of people that do work around his population. But we're going to get into the population in just a moment. So I want to ask you something. So when you started to like realize something more is out here for me to do in the world,
Mhm.
you were working in the EAP job or maybe working and doing your internship before that, what was
Yeah.
your process of looking for? Did you first let me ask, did you look for macro social work jobs on your own before working with me? And if so, what did that look like for you? What were some of the outcomes?
No, that's a great question, Marthea. Honestly, yeah, I think I was, I think I was just looking for other opportunities. I knew I didn't necessarily want to work in a clinical setting. So, right, I was a licensed mental health provider and I didn't necessarily want to go that route. So I was just looking at other jobs. Right. I'm on the typical sites, the Indeeds, the LinkedIn's, but my LinkedIn wasn't really set up in the way that it should have been prior to taking part in the macro accelerator. Um, I yeah, I don't know. Now that I think about it, I'm like, what was I doing? Because I wasn't finding what I needed, what I wanted to find. I don't even know what I want. I didn't even know what I really wanted to find. I think I just wanted to look at what sounds good and what could pay me a bit better than what I was going to make or what I was projected to make, right, post graduation. So I was all over the place.
I love that because what you just described is what many social workers are feeling, experiencing, going through, however you want to describe it. Not knowing what the plan should be and what action should I be taking to get clarity on this thing called my social work career. So thank you for sharing that because that is a real reality for many social workers. I talked with a social worker yesterday who pretty much described the same thing. So
Mhm.
how did you learn about my career coaching services, my program, and then what thoughts or information helped you sign up? Because I remember that night in the workshop. Um, and Keyshawn dropped in the chat. I mean, I had literally just dropped the link to register. And Keyshawn was the first one in the chat. I was like, I'm signed up. And I was like, okay, let's go. What made you make the decision? How did you find me and what made you make the decision?
Yeah, for sure. If I'm right, if memory serves me correct, I'm pretty sure I was connected with you on either LinkedIn or Instagram. And right, I would always see your posts. And right during this time, I knew that for me, I was always interested in bridging the gap between the micro sector and the macro sector. It just makes sense. And but it right in these social work programs, it's typically not taught that way. It's a little siloed. So hopefully, right in the future, things will change and there'll be more of a bridge to make that easy transition. But back to your question, Marthea. Right. So I found you on social media and I would look at your post and I'm like, okay, yeah, she's right, she's right. And I would, right, you had gone through quite a few, like a few cohorts before I ultimately decided to come to the workshop. And I was like, oh well, money is always a big thing. I'm like, I don't have the money, I don't have the money, I don't know. Ultimately, I saw you had the workshop. I said, okay, let me just go to the workshop. Let me just see what it's about. I knew you were a FAMU grad. So I was like, all right, we
Yeah,
got one thing on the board.
rather.
So right, fellow Razor, I'm like, okay, she's got to. I knew you knew something, but I'm attached to to family. I'm like, okay, I trust her. I'm gonna see what's up. So right, I ultimately went to the workshop, right? Learned a little bit more about what the program was about. I said, okay, this is attainable, and really, I was at a point in my life where I was like, you know what, Keyshawn, you gotta put your money where your mouth is. If you want to ascend to a different height, right, to another level, if you want to tap into that untapped potential that you and everyone else says that you have, and use some of the skills that you're learning about and that you want to learn about, I think this is where you need to be. So, right, you drop that link in the chat. I had a way to pay for it at the time. I said, you know what? Let's go. I'm paying for it right here, right now.
I love it. Yes. And I remember that night and I'm like, okay, I love it. So I want you to share and
Mhm.
tell the people who, what population, because you talked about bridging the gap between micro and macro and that being a needed area for
Yeah,
social workers. Can you tell the people, because I know, but I want you to
yeah,
tell them, who's your population and what issue do you do macro work regarding or advocate around? So basically, what's your mission statement, Keyshawn?
for sure, for sure. So, right, I'm really centering around transitional aged youth, young adults, definitely looking to empower like those in marginalized minority communities. When I was in the accelerator, I was really centered around Black folk, those that are coming from institutions such as HBCUs, right? Hence the book, and really wanting to educate them and mentor them on things such as like personal development, right? And ultimately, with that education piece, because I also have a master's in education as well, right? So looking at something within the education space as well in terms of educational equity.
I love it. So go ahead and drop it on the people. Tell them your career win, please. Let them
Yeah,
know.
yeah, so right, I was able right through this accelerator, I was able to secure a position as program manager for DEI office within a school of social work. And right, so in this position, I'm able to literally work with my target population and empower marginalized communities. This also includes bridging the gap between that micro and macro space while also still being able to reach out to institutions such as HBCUs to build partnerships. So literally what my mission statement is, I'm accomplishing that right now and it feels so good.
I'm I'm happy for you. I've been floating on cloud nine ever since you told me. So Keyshawn was like, he emailed me, he was like, Marthea, I have an update. Okay. When do you want to meet? And nothing else in the email, just like, I have an update. And I'm like, okay, let's meet. And the whole time I'm on pins and needles. What is this update? We get into the Zoom. Sean begins to tell me that he has a job offer. So after he finishes telling me about the first job offer, I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. He's like, wait. He told me to pump your brakes. I'm not, that's my words. He didn't say that. Basically, like, hold on just a minute. I'm not done yet. And then proceeds to tell me about job offer number 2, all center around his mission statement. And so, or his professional mission rather. And so the professional mission is something that we work on very in depth, like a lot inside of the accelerator to get clarity around what is your why? What do you want your work to look like? And I want to be clear that the accelerator helped Keyshawn take all of his experiences and package it up to be able to compete in the job market. But he already had the expertise, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had already written the books about HBCUs and Black males and youth and all of the things, but he was not working in those spaces. So I didn't help him with the expert. He already had the expertise, but we just had to get clarity around how do we bring all of that together to market it to macro employers. And so again, congratulations. I am so excited for you. Now, can you talk about what your journey was like when you were inside the program? Because you know I go hardcore about that mission statement. We work on it for weeks at a time, but tell the people, what was your journey like inside?
For sure, for sure. Right, first day, I didn't know what to expect, but I was excited because I knew that I had faith that I was gonna come out of those the accelerator with the tools, the knowledge, the insight, something was gonna assist me in ultimately right getting to where I am now with the two positions. And I really enjoyed right first day building that rapport and being around like-minded others who were quite literally in the same position as I was. It was nice to build the sense of community with them, right? And to really hear everyone's insights. There was quite a diverse group of individuals during that first week in the accelerator.
That's a great point because community is huge inside of the program because I always say my pivot to macro was very lonely. It was just me. I didn't know anyone else. And I was in an organization with people from other professions. It was a huge shift from working in an organization where there's nothing but social workers or people who are dedicated to social service work to now being in a setting with people in the business field, educators, all of the things. And so inside of the accelerator, community is huge. We do a lot of intentional community building, and alum like from past cohorts, they have met up in DC to have dinner and all of the things. So I'm glad to hear that was a good feature of the program for you. Now, were there any challenges that you encountered while in the program? And if so, where did you get stuck exactly?
Yeah, Marthea, that's a great question. I think, right, we're asked all the time, like in an interview or even in general, right? Oh, tell me about yourself. Like, what do you like to do? And when we were going through, right, specifically the three Ps, and these were things I had maybe thought about one off, like sometimes, but really like honing down what I wanted to focus on was really tough because I have a lot of interests and I move around a lot and I shift around a lot. But I really had to think about, okay, where can I see myself making the most impact, right? Where do I see myself being needed most as a Black man, right? As a Black male social worker, understanding we're very, they call us quote unquote unicorns in the social work field. But right, what do I actually like to do? Um, in a given day, right? And how could that transfer to a job? So ultimately, as I reflected on those for a couple weeks, that led me to, ultimately completing my three Ps, and then, having some challenges with the personal mission statement in terms of putting it all together with the right language and understanding how that could assist with, that question of telling me about yourself, when talking to interviewers. It was tough, but I was able to, with your guidance and support.
But
Able to
that
figure
is, but that's a real challenge, right? Because
it out.
people come into the accelerator and they don't understand why I start off talking about your three Ps. And if you don't know what we're talking about with the three Ps, I encourage you to click the link down in the episode notes and get access to the replay of the workshop that Keyshawn actually attended, where he signed up, and I break down my three Ps framework. But social workers don't understand why I'm starting off the conversation about getting a macro job, talking about your purpose, your passion, and your population. And they really don't understand why I drive home the creation of this mission statement. And so basically, the mission statement is a roadmap on what is the plan, what is the focus, what is the objective of this macro social work job search, but even
Mhm.
more than that, your career as a whole. Because what happens is lots of social workers find themselves in jobs that they are not, like, they're not like connected to, right? There's people out there that say you should work with every population in the world. I don't always agree with that. That's just my opinion. I think that you should do work around things that spark joy in you. And so we do the mission statement. But what on the other side of that, while they're going through the mission statement refinement, um, I also explained that the creation of this mission statement will help you in your interviews. It'll help you in the preparation of your cover letter and your resume. And it's not until like they're in an interview. This is what I've heard from past coaching clients. In
Mhm.
an interview, and then they're asked a question and they give them the mission statement. Like, did you have an aha moment like that? Have you used anything for your mission statement, like in your resume, cover letter, or interview, and you're like, oh, that came in handy?
Of course, of course, right? These are the things that we ultimately did and that I ultimately set up in the accelerator. I mean, they continue to help me today. I'm always making connections. I'm always going to want to introduce myself. Elevator pitches, right? These are perfect for just quick, concise, bite-sized pieces, and they hit every time. So gold.
I love it. So, um, were there any like big aha moments during the program for you? I know we talked about like the challenges, the breakthrough, but were there any other major aha moments for you where you really got clarity around a thing that we haven't already talked about?
Yeah, right. I think for me, the biggest aha moment came around when we started to hone in on the job search process, right? The job search process as well as honing in your resume, right? And understanding that, okay, you literally have to attune your resume to these specific organizations. There are special keywords that you've got to pull out, right? So this applying for jobs has to be a job. And ultimately, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it took a while, but honestly, the work that I put in was rewarding because, again, I wouldn't have been able to be here right now interviewing today. So right when I got that insight on the keywords as it related to applying for jobs and then setting up my resume with those keywords, yeah, that was the ticket for me.
I love you. And now this is just Marthea wanting to know
Yeah.
what was the time frame between you like putting everything into action, tailoring your resume, applying to targeted jobs? Did it take for you to see, and this is all dependent on people's situation, where they're applying, the types of jobs they're targeting, but how long did it take for you to start seeing results with like interviews?
So I think we finished the accelerator sometime in November, and I probably started seeing results in right after the holidays, honestly, like in January.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what, a month and a half, if that?
Yeah, which is on point for the types of organizations you were targeting. I
Mhm.
love it. So we talked about the fact that you got not one but two macro jobs, and they're jobs, they're major jobs. Don't get me wrong, but they're not jobs where he's going to be working himself out to burnout mode, um, like in a direct practice job. They are manageable based on the schedule. And so you've now been on one of the jobs, right? Or maybe you're doing two, but
Yeah.
one of the jobs for over 30 days and you're working remotely. And when we first got on a Zoom call, I said, you're looking good. You're looking good. I can tell you are in a different space. Not that you were looking bad before, but you look different. I can see that in my coaching
For sure.
clients when I see them again. So can you talk about like what life has been like now in comparison to where you were in that EAP job, but now that you started your macro job, what has life been looking like for you? What
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, Marthea. Well, right. I think part of the reason I'm looking good is because I'm getting better sleep. The EAP job was overnight, and I mean it was a job, so I did what I had to do, but it was affecting my sleep cycle. So now that I'm on a job where I'm a bit more flexible, right? It's a salary job. I don't have to clock in and out. I know my money's coming when it's coming, right? Um, I'm working with so many different, right? This is a university job, so I'm working with so many different other schools and other departments, and honestly, every day is something different. And I think understanding that I'm working under DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. There's just so many places we can go with that. So I'm collaborating with outside organizations. Of course, working internally in the university, I'm able to pull in individuals from my network and other people that I know. So it's yeah, it's fun. I'm having a lot
love
of fun.
it. And I just want to say this. It's a major university. We're not going to say where, but it's a major institution. And I'm so excited for you. I really am because it's everything that you talked about wanting to do from day one, bits and pieces of it, but we
Yeah,
connected all of the dots. And so
yeah.
I'm so excited about what is to come for you in your career. Tell the people if you want to. If not, they can just contact me and I'll forward requests to you. But tell the people where they can find you, buy your book, engage with your content, all of the things.
Yeah, definitely. Right, Keyshawn Miller, you can find me on LinkedIn first and foremost. I am on Instagram at youngblack_introvert. You can find my books, just search my name on Amazon.com. I think that's it. Yeah. So those are the big places, right? Instagram, LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and then Amazon.com.
Thank you again for taking time out of your new schedule to come and share your story. I know that it is helpful to someone. Also, let me say this. This is our script. Is there like one tip, one like thing you want to leave with the people? If not, it's no major deal, but like one thing.
Yeah. If you are right for social workers and honestly for anyone that's looking to pivot, to change, to shift, it's possible. The information's out there. We are living in a different age, and there are individuals out there like Marthea who want to support you in this shift. So if you're on the fence about taking part in the micro to macro accelerator, consider this your push off the fence to
Yes,
get.
it's possible. That's a great way. I'm gonna quote you. saying that. It's possible. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. If you're interested in joining the wait list for the Micro to Macro Career Accelerator, click the link. It's down in the episode show notes. I'm offering a lot of free workshops, so make certain that you're connected with me on Instagram at the_MSW coach. I also have a free e-course. If you want to watch the workshop replay that Keyshawn attended, that's down in the show notes. But everything is at macroandpaid.com. And I will catch you next time. Happy macro career planning.